Welcome back to Clubhouse Talk, where we dive into the real stories, unfiltered moments, and behind the scenes culture of college baseball.
I'm Nolan Graham, here with Bryce Phelps, and today we're jumping into the heartbeat of every successful program in baseball, culture. Not the buzzword, the lived reality inside the locker room, dugout, and on the field.
Every team talks about having a strong culture, but not many actually build one that lasts. So today, we brought in someone who knows what it takes.
Our guest today is Matthew Delgado, a graduate transfer to the University of Iowa. His playing career consists at Pasadena Community College, Rogers State, and most recently, North Alabama. They've seen firsthand how culture shapes performance, accountability, and the way players show up every day. And a little bit about myself. I am a student manager here at the University of Iowa. I'm in my fourth year with the program, and I'll let Phelps introduce himself.
My name is Bryce Phelps. I'm a current graduate student at University of Iowa. I played 2 years at Southeastern Community College, then 2 years at Wagner College, and now here at Iowa. And let's get into it. This is the Clubhouse Talk. First, Matt, how would you describe the culture of your program in one sentence, and how accurate do you think your players would say that is?
Yeah, so just talking about my experience at North Alabama. Honestly, it's pretty laid-back staff, kind of laid-back people. I guess my one sentence for you would be casual but driven. I think we got a lot of work done. But at the same time, it really wasn't kind of cut-through environment that we had to deal with day in and day out. It was more so kind of just super casual is honestly the best way to describe it.
In what ways do you think it would be casual? Because when I think of casual, I think of super laid back, kind of easygoing culture, not taking it too seriously.
Yeah, I think that honestly, I think culture obviously starts from the top down. And again, I just think they did a great job of just kind of like it wasn't like you missed a ground ball and it wasn't like yelling at you, screaming at you. It was like, all right, let's go, man. Like, you're good. Pick it up. You got the next one. And even like in the batter's box, it was never like you miss a pitch and they're really just like, I can't believe you missed that, kind of that sort of scenario. And I think just even like practice, it was super kind of just like, all right, we're going to do this, this, and this. And like, let's get it done. Let's have a good time. Let's do it well. And like, let's get out of here.
No, for sure. And I kind of second that. Like, do you think being so laid back, like, did that take away from the effort or the idea that like you still need to win? Like, did that affect anything there, you think?
I think a little bit, but I think it more so has to do with like the person who's like taking that, like that energy or the culture, right? Because it's like, I'm a guy, like, I don't need it to be 150% at practice, but like, I'm going to go in and get my work done. But I guess on the flip side of that would be people who don't have that mindset. Like, yeah, they could just go to practice and cruise and no one's really gonna get on top of them. And that's just kind of how it is.
So yeah, my experience was kind of similar at Wagner, I would say. Like, it was more like nonchalant, to your point, like show up, get your work in, and then at the end of the day, like, we're gonna go compete together. Like at Southeastern, it was quite different. I mean, that's like a military style program, like kind of similar here to Iowa, right? Like, you have a standard and you have to meet that standard every single day. And I think seeing the differences between programs and, each of them have their successes, but it's kind of interesting to see how they go about that when creating their culture.
I agree with what you said about Iowa. I mean, what I've seen over the past couple of years, there are moments where we do kind of relax and take it easy, but for the most part, it's a grind every day, and we take it very seriously. Like, I remember Coach Heller in all my years. Like, in the fall, we'd have managers standing out in the outfield with sheets recording just guys playing catch. Like, if you drop a ball, overthrow, that's getting in the record books, and that's taken very seriously. Like, even ground balls as a team. Like, if you boot a ground ball, we're taking note of that. And that's something that the coaches really take to heart here, I know for sure. And that's something that I know some of the guys take to heart too. Somebody that comes to mind is Gable Mitchell. He's very detail oriented and he takes ground balls very seriously day in and day out. And he knows the importance of doing the fundamentals every day and not getting relaxed as we saw with last season. Like, everybody was just on top of it. And that's kind of the culture that I feel like Heller's kind of like introduced here. And that's really what's been driving us lately.
Agree. And this next question kind of goes into it, right? Like, what's an unspoken rule in your clubhouse that every player kind of just understands without it being said? Like, what is like that golden rule in each clubhouse? What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think the golden rule honestly is just like, honestly for me, and I think for the culture there was just like, go get it done. Like, whatever it is, just go get it done. Whether that be community service, whether that be lift, whether that be practice. It's simple. Just, I mean, again, there's not too much pressure, but like at the end of the day, like there's stuff to accomplish and there's stuff to do. So I think just get it done is kind of a, I guess you could say a motto or saying, kind of just overall describe that golden rule of that locker room was just, we're going to go get it done, whatever it is.
Nolan, what do you think for Iowa? What do you think the unspoken rule has been?
I think a lot of it has to do with just not complaining and doing your job. I feel like doing your 1/9 is kind of something that the coaches preach all the time. And it's been a motto that we've had here now for several years, where you have to think bigger than yourself and think about the team. What can I do to help the team succeed? Because baseball is truly a team sport. You can have one great guy, but one guy is not going to win you a game when you need it the most, and you have 8 other guys who also need to perform. So just doing your 1/9, I'd say, is the big culture thing here, and just being selfless. Like, if it just comes down to just getting on base any way possible, like hit by pitch, a walk, just doing it for the next guy, because that's what truly matters.
At Wagner, I'd say the unspoken rule was kind of just the idea that upperclassmen need to lead lowerclassmen, and it wasn't in the idea that I'm going to boss you around and you're kind of my like little peasant. It was, I'm going to take you under my arm. I'm going to show you what it's like to be a college player and appropriately immerse you into the program and the idea of college baseball. Like as a senior and junior at Wagner, since I transferred there into my upperclassmen years, you know, I took pride in, you know, taking underclassmen in my arms and making sure like, hey, like this is how you do it in college baseball. These are kind of like what needs to be done. You're expected to be on time, if not early. Like every day is a grind. You need to show up and put 100% effort no matter what. And, you know, not everyone would like buy into that idea, but just having like, you know, that feel factor of like, hey, like I was a freshman once too. I know how fast paced it can be. You know, you have school, you have baseball, you have life. It's a lot at once, right? Like, and that transition, you know, having an upperclassman be like, hey, like I got you, man. Like at the end of the day, like it just helps them, and it builds a better team culture, team chemistry, and you know, you're there for the same reason, right? Like you want to be together throughout, top to bottom, whether a freshman's playing or not, and just having that team chemistry is huge.
You see some of those similarities here at Iowa, because I know I don't really see much of what happens within the clubhouse and everything like you guys do. So, do you see kind of those similarities of the upperclassmen trying to help out the freshmen and get them up to speed of what college baseball is truly about?
Yeah, I mean, this fall, I think obviously being a position player, like we don't have a whole lot of underclassmen, so to speak. We're a lot of transfer heavy with some college experience, but for the freshmen that we do have, I think they are super mature as it is. So there's not literally like there's not a lot of guidance when it comes to it, in my opinion. I kind of taken Milo under my arm a little bit this fall. Just early on, he was like pretty sped up with everything, you know, just trying to get used to the transition of, hey, I got school, I got baseball, I got life, I got a lot of things to check off on my to-do list each day, and just to the point of like, I think every freshman here is super mature for their age, and so it's not like a whole lot of guidance in my opinion, but it's just appropriately leading them, I would say, like just making sure like when they need a hand, you can give it to them and not bossing them around. Like there's no need for that, obviously, especially when we're all teammates and we're trying to, you know, win games and have good team chemistry. But overall, I'd say like the freshmen have been super mature. It's been great to get along with them. And honestly, there hasn't been a whole lot of issues in my opinion. Obviously, Matt, you can chime in on this too and bring your perspective.
Yeah, honestly, I would honestly say, I mean, me and you've kind of, we hang out, so I think Milo's someone we've taken under our wing, and just I guess offering a different perspective there. Being a catcher with him, I would completely agree with you. I think like some of the catching stuff to start with, I was like you know, you're like I just would tell him like you're good. Like I don't know, like you did not get good because you came here. Like you obviously came here for a reason, and so some of that stuff went to that, and just kind of just like just literally breathe behind the plate and like just say like what you were saying, like him being sped up. Like I literally just tell him like just breathe, man. It's gonna be all right. Like the game's the game. Nothing's really changing. And then like one example, I guess you could say like off the field stuff. It was hilarious. We were all at we were having catching dinner at Buffalo Wild Wings, and Milo was like, he got a bad grade on a test, and he was literally like losing. He's like, I'm gonna fail. Like I've been getting a tutor. Like I don't know what to do. Like should I drop the class? And I was like, hey man, like it's gonna be all right. I promise you, it's gonna be all right, man. Like he's like, I have a C. I'm like, look, like if you get a C, it's not the end of the world. Like this isn't high school anymore. He's like, I had a 3.9 in high school. I'm like, this isn't high school anymore, man. Like especially me coming from like three different schools. Like this is a hard school and it's not easy. So I just try to tell them, just kind of taking someone under the wing is just tell them to relax. I would say like a quick, not too much, but like me and Bryce today actually were sitting in the locker room and we had to draft the team for a hit tracks challenge. Me and Bryce look at each other like, let's go get a freshman. Let's the 250ers. Let's go get a freshman. Like I think it means a lot. If I was a freshman in that spot, it's like, hey, these two old farts want to pick me up on their hit tracks team. And so I think another one's that kind of just like with Ben Toft, the outfielder. I mean, Bryce probably spent more time than me, but just kind of believing in a kid who's just out of high school and stuff, and just being like, yeah, man, you're good. Like, let's have you on our team.
Yeah, and building off of that, like, what do you think the role of the older guys play in shaping like the daily habits and mindsets of those younger players that you have talked about?
Yeah, I think with Milo in the catching room, right? It's like, yeah, some days you do not want to do whatever we're doing, right? But at the end of the day, it's like you got to pay your dues every day. Like just because you pay your dues yesterday doesn't mean they're paid
Yep.
for the next day. Like you have to show up every day, and like but yeah, some days you don't want to hit, some days you don't want to catch. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey man, I know this sucks. Like trust me, I know it sucks. I've been doing this for a long time, but like you got to embrace the suck, is what I like to say, and just real take ownership of it and just get it done.
Yeah, like to second Matt there, like the outfield group that we have. I mean, we have Ben, we have Earlbeck. I mean, that's really it. And when it comes to young outfielders, and to your point, like outfield everyday drills that we do are so boring and suck. Like, like when you think of outfield, it's like, oh, you just go out there and catch a pop fly, or oh, you're just catching a line drive, right? Like, it's not fun stuff. Like trying to chime in and like hone in on a certain drill, it's not easy. Even as a fifth year, there's some days it's like, dude, do I really want to do this? But to your point, like every day is a grind. You have to stay locked in, and there's no days off. Like every day you're trying to get better, whether it's a first step, pre-pitch routine, fielding the ground ball out front. But like to your point of, with the freshmen and stuff, like I think for me, it was the biggest thing of just making sure that every day I show my best effort too, to show them what it looks like when they get to be my age. Like I want to be, it's cliche, but a role model, right? Like you always say that, but I don't think people understand what it actually takes to be a role model. Like you can't change. Like you have to be the same person every single day, regardless if you're having a great game, great day, or school kicked your butt, practice sucks, I'm sore. Like you have to be the same person as an upperclassman, and that helps build the culture, and it helps show younger people like, hey, they're going through it with me, but like look at them, they're still happy, they're still grinding their butt off. Like that's what I want to do.
I'd agree with all that you said, because even from like the manager perspective of being a role model, as you mentioned, to those younger players and managers, you have to be consistent every day, and consistency is probably the most important thing, because there are days that suck, and I'll admit it. Coming up here in January, it's going to suck a lot. Like, there's going to be mornings where I don't want to wake up and come to baseball, or evenings that I'd rather just be lying in bed, nice, cozy by the fire, but stuff has to get done. And we like to have this saying called move the needle, where every day we're getting better. Like, there's not a single day off in baseball, really. And you have to find something to get better at every day, even if it's just a small thing of like correcting a minor little thing, or as you mentioned, Bryce, prep steps, like just doing something every day to get gradually better that'll help you reach your end goal, and our end goal as a team of winning a Big Ten championship.
100%. Nolan, I liked how you mentioned like the manager side of things. What do you think, being around doing it for a long time, what's like the biggest thing that you see like new managers kind of struggle with?
A lot of it has to do with the commitment, because For me, I bought in fairly early on. As a lifelong Hawkeye fan, I knew I wanted to be involved in Hawkeye athletics to some degree, and I love the sport of baseball. And it's buying in and loving what you do every day that gets you through it. Because, as I said, there's days that are absolutely brutal and you just don't want to be here. I recall my freshman year, we were out there shoveling snow off of the field and pouring down ice salt in the dugout so we can go outside and practice.
Yeah.
And that was not fun. But did it pay off in the end? Bet your butt it sure did. We had our best season ever. And it's just having a mindset and growing into this personality of wanting to be here and wanting to learn, because learning is probably the best thing that can ever come from an opportunity like we have at Iowa. And that's just something I take pride in, and buying into the culture that Heller's created. Because I'll be honest, there's sometimes when he's talking in those team meetings that when he's done, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Like, he fires me up that much. And that's just something that I've grown to love.
I love that. That's good stuff. Matt, quick question. When you think back on past teams you've been on, was there a moment that you realized, like, yeah, this group gets it? And what kind of made that moment come about that made you think that way?
Yeah, honestly, to think back on a certain team, I guess if we're going North Alabama, I would honestly choose, I don't know if it sounds crazy, but my summer ball team, my sophomore summer. So it was my first summer out. I was in Virginia playing in the Valley Baseball League. Met a bunch of good dudes. Still talk to some of those guys today. Hung out with one of them about a month ago, and so that was nice to just see those guys. But I think the second I realized like these guys get it is it was about halfway point in the season. It's like kind of the dog days of summer ball is what they call it, right? You're playing six or 7 days a week. And like it gets to the point where like no one really wants to be there, but you have to be there and just grind it out. And it was just one night we all hung out, and it was probably like 25 guys, 20 guys hanging out on a Sunday off day, all just like watching a game together, kind of just, taking the time to be like, hey man, well, there's nothing else to do. Let's all do this. And then down the stretch there, we got really good. I myself turned it around, and I just felt like it wasn't even me turning around. It was just like, hey man, let's just have a good time. Let's have fun with this. Like, we're all here together. And so like that was for me kind of honestly the main clicking point was like that next day after we all hung out. You kind of just realized like, man, everyone's from everywhere, but like we all feel like this is like a close knit family, to be honest with you. And so we ended up winning that championship that year, and it was a good experience for sure.
I'm sure Wagner also had similar like stuff going on. Did you guys ever have a moment where you felt like this was your guys' moment and everything kind of clicked for you?
Yeah, I mean, this for our team, I would say at Wagner, I'll go back to last year just because we had a lot of success and we were almost a 40-win team, which is almost the program's most wins in a season. The moment was we were in a three-way tie for first place in the conference standings, and we had played CCSU, who was tied with us at the time. And we all got together. I think we left Thursday. We had Friday, Saturday series. We left Thursday. Wednesday night, I texted the group chat. I said, yo, let's meet in the locker room. And everyone's like, oh, great. Here we go again. Here's another player-led meeting, right? Some people don't really buy into it. And it was literally just me saying, I want to go win this, and I want to do it the right way. Because there was times and moments where it was like the team was about me. How am I going to perform, rather than like, how can we do the little things right to win this game as a team? Like, the bunts, the sack hits, all this stuff that you need, like diving for, 50-50 balls, like just the little stuff that goes a long ways. We had that meeting. We go play CCSU. First game, I'm not even kidding, first inning of that game, we put up 12 runs on them. And it was like, that's when I knew, like, we got it. Like, we have this in it. We have it in us to do it, and we're a great team. And, like, I guess for myself, my junior year wasn't, like, what I planned to be. I got hurt, and I was battling through injuries and stuff, and it was my opening weekend against Indiana State, and everyone everyone thought I wasn't even going to start or play in the opening weekend. Like they're like, you don't have a chance. You know, my own teammates are saying this, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Like I'll be the best teammate on the bench, whatever. I miraculously made the lineup. Ended up going 8 for 11 that weekend. Ended up being like one of the top hitters in the country. And, you know, unfortunately, we ended up losing the series, which really sucked against a really good team. But for me, it was like, I have something to go prove every time I'm on the field, whether people believe it or not. Like, in that moment for me was like, okay, like, I can do this. Like, let's go do it. You know what I mean? Like, so, Nolan, kind of talk about, like, I guess you can talk about last year's team, for example. Like, you guys were cruising in the season. Was there a moment preseason that made it like, yeah, we got it, or was it just like it just happened?
I'll be honest, last season was a roller coaster of emotions because I don't know if you guys follow along too closely at the beginning, but I'll be honest, we sucked. It was probably the worst start that you could ever imagine. We were dropping games that we thought we should have won and that we knew that we could have won. Like something that comes to mind is the Notre Dame game. Like we really felt like we could have won that. We let that slip away. And then the Wazoo series kind of zapped us, and that was kind of our calling point because we go down to Wazoo. They're hadn't been that good in the past couple years. So we were expecting to at least win the series, take 3 of 4 against them, and we ended up almost getting swept by them, and we barely squeaked by in those last couple of games. But that's kind of when stuff started turning around, and we were like, hey, maybe we got something here, and we can build off of it. And then we ended up going to Rutgers for the first Big Ten series of the year. We lost the first game, which again, we felt like we were a lot better than what people are giving us credit for. Because Hawkeye Twitter, I don't know how much you guys follow that, but Hawkeye Burnerverse was blaming us and trying to cut the program after those first couple weeks, and everybody was absolutely hating on the team. But we rallied those last 2 games at Rutgers and carried that over into our first home series against Ohio State. And then that's really when the tear started going for the Hawks, and we just went on a run. I felt like is the idea of everybody's doubting us, and we have stuff that we have yet to prove, and we know that we're a better team than a lot of people give us credit for. And that Wazoo series was truly the turning point in that saying, if we don't get better now, then stuff's not going to change around here. And especially with such a young team that we had last year, it was something of a challenge to try to get everybody to buy in to the idea that we are a good team and we just have to believe in one another and trust that we can go out there and get the job done if we do it the right way. So, Matt, can you please describe us a time where you felt like the culture of your past teams were truly tested? Can you explain a little bit about what happened and how did the team respond to that?
Yeah, honestly, I think it was kind of the start of us for at North Alabama. It was the first week, and I think, or it was the first like 2 weeks. I mean, for us, it was pretty brutal. I remember we opened up against Army, and we beat them in 2, and so they're pretty solid. They're the Patriot League, like I think 4-time champions the past 5 years, whatever that was. And so that was honestly a big win for us, like put on our belt. And so we're like, all right, like we could do this. Like we knew we were going to be good, but we were kind of just like a middle team. We felt like. And so we came out, beat them. We're like, oh man, like let's do this. And then I remember we played. I mean, we had a tough slate to start off, so I think that was right away. Like our culture was kind of like unsure of ourselves because we're kind of just like, all right, like are we good? I mean, we went through the gauntlet. We played Tennessee, we played LSU for 3, we played Auburn, played UAB is a good team out of what's it called, the American. They're solid, and I think we went on 9 game skid. I mean, we lost to Auburn, but I mean, the worst part about like those games, like we lost close. I think we lost. It might have been like 6-4 against Auburn, and it's like we're sitting here like a mid-major team, like going into a place like Auburn. Like we try to take good win away, but from that, but it was still just like your culture's getting tested. It's like, man, like we're trying to go get it done, right? And we just can't get it done. But then we got to look ourselves in the mirror and say like, are we supposed to beat a team like that? And so that gave us a little confidence. And then I remember we played the UAB and we got swept. I'm like, we had a guy throw a one hitter, and I think we lost 1-0 on a Saturday, and it was just like one of those things, like, what are we doing, right? And so again, our culture got tested, and then I think we dropped one to Tennessee that Tuesday, and that was another close game. I think we lost 7-4. Don't quote me on that, but I mean, we were just rolling to these places. Like, I think we had tying runner at the plate in the eighth or ninth inning, and it was just like we knew, like, obviously we're doing something right, but then we got destroyed against LSU. I mean, we had them close one game, but other than that, I mean, and so after that, it was kind of like culture. Like, kind of look yourself in the mirror and like, hey guys, like, what are we gonna do? And so I think for us, like, we kind of just revolted. We honestly just rolled it back to just like be easy, right? We kind of just like let all that stuff in the past and was like, look, like that's gonna happen. Those teams are quote unquote better than us. Like, let's just put that in the past and move on. And I think just be easy. Like, let's not press about it. And then after that, we ended up like putting some games together, kind of get right up back on track. And then conference opened up, and that's like we kind of started playing well. And I think that was one time our culture was definitely tested in the fact of like it also kind of worked in our favor as opposed to like, right, if you're a serious kind of drill sergeant team, you're kind of just getting drilled at, right? Like, why are you guys losing? And for us, it was more so just like, hey, okay, that was cool, but that's over with now. Like, let's lay back, let's do what we do, and we end up turning the season around for sure.
Would you say like trusting the process and just sticking true to your course played a big role in that?
100%. I think our coaching staff did a great job of just not telling us it's okay we lost. I'll tell you what, our coaching staff after Auburn wasn't mad at us, but I could tell they're definitely frustrated in the fact that like they're like, you guys could have beat them, like you were in that game with them, like you guys gotta believe in yourselves. And so yeah, for sure, I think. But again, I think our coaching staff did a great job of kind of just saying like, it is what it is. Let's move on. But like, we knew this was going to be tough for you, and like, let's just build off that.
Bryce, would you say that you guys had similar experiences at Wagner where you felt like the culture was tested, and then how did your guys kind of respond to that?
Yeah, so my junior year at Wagner, our opening 3 weekends were against UNC, who was top 15 ranked, Texas A&M, who was preseason #1, and then we played ETSU, East Tennessee State University, which is a powerhouse for a mid-major. We went 0-11 in that span. We had a midweek tossed in there against Seton Hall as well. Great mid-major, great team. We started 0-11 that season, and it's demoralizing. It's tough, especially when you go look at your stats and you're hitting, let's say, 220, which isn't terrible against those teams and when you're in one of the worst conferences in Division One. But like we went to UNC, and I think there was only one game where we competed where it was tied going into the seventh. Ended up losing that game by 4, I think, or 5, and then we got beat by 10 all the other games. It's tough. And then we go to A&M Friday night. I think it was 12,000 fans there, just packed. They go out, they beat us by 10 again, probably. It's 12-2, whatnot. Saturday game came, we lose 2-0, and this was like the moment where we knew, like, okay, we're a good team. Like that early in the season, like you don't expect to really compete with those types of teams, especially from, the Northeast where you can't get outside and play a lot. And these teams are just powerhouses, right? They got guys after guys. But that game, it was 2-0 going in the seventh, top of the seventh. We had bases loaded, 1 out, and we go KK to end it. All it takes is a couple hits strained right there. It's a tie game, or we take the lead. We had a guy, Ryan Bilka, he's at Miami now, threw a gem in mid-relief. I think he went like 4 or 5 innings of scoreless baseball, just money. So we had guys, we had the talent to do it. We knew that. Same thing when we went to ETSU and Seton Hall midweek. Like close games, we just didn't have that extra play that you needed to win the game, right? And so, you start 0-11, you get tested a lot, especially early on. Like, we were preseason projected like 2 in the conference, and other teams are winning their preseason games, and we're getting absolutely smacked. So it's like, all right, what are we doing wrong? I think our coaching staff did a great job of being like, hey, like you guys have the talent. Like you're a couple plays out of winning a couple of those games against great teams. Like stay true to the process, like we mentioned earlier, right? Trust what you're doing every single day. We started conference at the best opening start of the conference play we've ever had at Wagner. I think we started like 8-0, 10-0, and we were just rolling through conference. And it was like, for us, like that's what matters, right? Like you got to get into the conference tournament to have a chance in the regional. And yeah, I mean, it was a huge test for us. Like going into it, like yeah, people are gonna doubt you and say you don't have a chance, but you always have a chance, right? Like there's always upsets regardless of the matchup. And we had that mindset going into it. We stayed true to ourselves, and at the end of the day, it helped us. Like we go to conference teams that were less talented, obviously, than them, and we showed that we were good enough to beat them. And I think we ended up being a 3 seed or a 4 seed in the conference tournament. Won a couple games. We didn't win it, but it showed to be a good season at the end of the day. Nolan, kind of back to you with that same question at Iowa, just like a manager's perspective. Was there a time at your career at Iowa, watching them play where it was like, wow, they really got tested and then they bounced back really well?
Yeah, I'll go back a couple years because I know I've talked about last year quite a bit. So sophomore year, the Hawkeyes, we come out preseason AP ranked, I think, don't quote me on this, but like 23rd or something like that in the country. It's like one of the first times ever that we've came out in the AP rankings start up. And we had really high expectations. Everybody had taken us to win the Big Ten tournament, basically to be the Big Ten's team in the College World Series. So we had a lot of high expectations, but we were really tested right out of the get-go. First game of the season, I want to say we were playing like UMBC down in Florida, and we ended up losing that game. And everybody's like, what on earth happened? Because one of our transfers that we had come in pitch, everybody thought he was going to be really good, and he turned out to be extremely well for us. He just had a very rough season that year, but he just got shelled right out of the get-go, and we were all kind of scratching our heads like, what's going on? Like, why is this not working for us? Because we know we're a great team this year. We have all the assets that we need to be great. And that was a point where we were tested in that we had to bring ourselves back down to reality. Because I think what happened was a lot of guys, we started thinking of ourselves a little too high than what we were actually supposed to be. And it wasn't until we got into Big Ten play where we kind of found our groove and settled down and kind of came back to the mindset of just playing fundamentally sound baseball rather than trying to be something that we're not. Because coming off of a record-breaking year and going to the regionals against Indiana State, we just had too high of expectations for ourselves, and we were too focused on what could the future hold if we win out the season. Like, where could we go in the College World Series if we get there? People were talking about us hosting a regional, and we just were not present in the time and not looking for the game that we had in front of us or the game that we had tomorrow. So that was a time where I felt like we were truly tested and just trying to bring our focus back to what really mattered most, and that was the game that's being played rather than the game that happens weeks and months in advance that may or may not even happen.
Oh, I like your point there of being present where you are, right? Like, I know Coach Heller preaches that a lot here. Like, be present where your feet are, take in the moment, don't take anything for granted. And, to your point, I think that's a huge thing that everyone needs to understand just in college baseball in general, or even in life, right? Like, don't be wishing stuff away, do everything that you can with the time that you have in the day and just make the most out of it. Matt, for young players listening, what's one habit they can start today that makes them a culture builder? Like, not just another name on their roster.
Yeah, for me, I think one thing is, come to the ball field every day with joy and just like realizing like, I mean, I guess at that age, everyone gets to do it, but like when they get to the collegiate level or even I think high level, like high school ball, it's like, man, like you have to be so blessed to be able to come out and play this game, right? Like kids who don't have the physical ability or even the mental ability to play this game at a high level, it's like, man, like you get to come out and play this game every day. You get to come out, hang out with 35 of your best friends, and I mean, come hit a white ball around, And my biggest takeaway for young kids listening is just, man, just take it in, live present. I was at a fault of that, not living present, right? It was also like, it was always, what am I going to do? Where do I need to go? Like, how am I going to get recruited? And at the end of the day, it all works out, man. It all truly does work out. So I guess my one takeaway would be just have fun, stay present, and just realize this is a game. At the end of the day, don't make this all you have in your life, because it's not a good time when you make this all you have, because there's so much more to life than this game.
I totally agree with everything you said there, that this is truly a game. And simply, it is a kid's game. There's professionals out there who go out and treat it as if they're just playing a game in their backyard. And that's something that I think is really important and that young kids should take away, is that you should have fun. You're playing sports for fun. That's first and foremost. Until you start getting paid the big bucks and start really making money, that's when you can kind of change your mindset. But up until that point, all the way through college and everything, you should just have fun and enjoy it. Because for myself, I wish I could be out there on the ball field still playing baseball. Like, I miss it every single day, not being able to play. And it's something that you kind of take for granted at the younger age, but you really have to understand as you grow up that this is truly a blessing to get to be able and play kids game and just have fun doing it. And don't take it too seriously either, because nobody's going to fault you if you make a mistake. Getting in the Hall of Fame, those guys fail 70% of the time, and you're a first round ballot if you fail 70% of the time. So failure is just part of the game, and you just have to learn to have fun and just enjoy the moment.
I agree with you a lot there, Nolan. I think for me, the biggest thing is be the hardest worker in the room at all times, give 100% effort, and just be a great teammate. Pick up guys when you can. Always try to say, hey, what's up? How's your day going? Small talk's huge. And just genuinely care about the guys that you're with, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, for me, all my teammates that I've played with, I have lifelong brothers that will probably be in my weddings and just friends forever. Like, just understand, like, you're hanging out with these guys every single day, and don't take that for granted, like you guys mentioned.
First and foremost, I want to thank you, Matty D, for joining us today and sharing such an honest look into how culture is built and protected inside of a college baseball program.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a blast.
We hope this conversation gave you a deeper understanding of what makes a team more than just a roster. Culture is the heartbeat, the glue, and sometimes the only thing that gets a group through the grind.
And whether you're a player, coach, a parent, or just someone who loves the game of baseball, we hope you took something away that is valuable today.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Clubhouse Talk. We appreciate you spending the time with us.